Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Esoteric Ramblings. I'm Jesse Arnold, and today I'm giving you my reaction to WandaVision Episode 6. Welcome back to Esoteric Ramblings. I'm doing my WandaVision reaction today for Episode 6. It was... each episode of the show, especially once you hit Episode 4, keeps getting better and better. I love the sitcom format of the first couple episodes. I'm glad they have expanded it, expanding it into the real world and back and forth between it has been a really cool way to keep that idea going, but giving us more of the bigger story, and I've really enjoyed that. Mega props and accolades to all of the creative talent going into this show. This truly is, you hear a lot of shows where people say, oh, you've never seen anything like it, and maybe some of the ideas of the tropes of the sitcom episodes and that sort of thing have been done before, and the things they're doing in there, but it feels like it's so well calculated and planned and intentional. Of course it is, and it's really blowing me away. For two characters that 10 years ago I knew who they were, and I'm a little more vested in Scarlet Witch and Vision as they were mutants because I'm a huge X-Men fan. Vision before the Marvel movies I didn't really pay that much attention to. It was always X-Men for me. X-Men was pretty much the only Marvel thing I was interested in growing up, so it's been a lot of fun to get to know these characters through these movies, and I've now extended my reading into a lot of the other Marvel books since then. So, all that to say, having a show focused on these three characters, or two characters, Wanda and Vision, I'm counting Quicksilver because he is in this episode, is just... it's really great. It's really interesting and moving, and I love the way they set up Vision in the movies and told his story. I wish that Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch could be mutants. I know they're getting ready to bring mutants into the Marvel MCU universe, but I know they've changed it in the comics. I'm still waiting for them to retcon that, but I don't know. It seems like they're sticking with that at this point. So, it's been really interesting. In this show, I'm stalling here because I don't want to get to the spoilers right away, because I don't know how to really talk about this episode without spoilers, other than it is the 90s episode, or at least the early 90s, and it's crazy. It's a great acted episode. Everything just keeps building from episode before and the episode before that, so I don't know what else I can say that's positive and encouraging about the production of this show, other than I'm really enjoying it, and it's just making me crave more MCU content. So I can't wait for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That trailer during the Super Bowl, or told you to go watch the full video, whatever it was, the full video for that was incredible. I can't wait to see that. I'm not a diehard fan of Zemo. I think they did a really good job with him in the movie, because in Civil War, he's really... Thanos, I guess, did win in a way, but then they defeated him, but he still had an effect on the universe, which we're still seeing play out even in the course of this show. But, yes, all the bad guys did bad things and hurt people, and for some people's lives that was the end of the story. And I don't mean just the superheroes, but Zemo actually succeeded in his goal in breaking the Avengers apart, and I'm really intrigued to see him come back, because he wasn't a guy that could go toe to toe with them fighting. He just had to get them to fight each other, and seeing him come back with Falcon and Winter Soldier is really exciting, because those two guys, they seem to be friends and have a friendship of fighting amongst themselves, but I feel like that could be another not another civil war, but another thread to pull on with them, like, picking at each other. So it might be interesting to see if their friendship gets tested during the course of this show. Anyway, I'm talking about WandaVision episode 6. Get ready, because here come the spoilers. So last week they revealed the Quicksilver is back with the actor who portrayed him in the Fox X-Men movies. And I did not have the best reaction to that. Nothing against the actor or his portrayal of. It was just my fear of bleeding the X universe into the MCU. And after a couple interviews or quotes from showrunners and stuff this week, I feel a little more reassured that that's not going to happen. It seems like getting him to be Quicksilver in the scene was a big... not a big ask, but it wasn't just like, oh yeah, sure, go ahead, do it. We're going to bring them all in anyway. I'm reading into that. It just seems like they had to pitch it to Feige, and he had to okay it. It had to be very specific reasons. So I'm intrigued, a little more intrigued now going into this week's episode. And I was talking to my girlfriend yesterday, and I was saying how I think he shows up at the end of the episode when Vision is starting to question Wanda's intentions and what she's doing. And that, yes, he's going to play up the trope of the bad boy brother that comes to town, or the uncle, and, you know, causes chaos within the family. But I also think he was going to be more of an ally to Wanda, in that he would be more accepting of her and encouraging her to do what she does, because they're twins. Even though he's not the same twin. And lo and behold, that's pretty much exactly what happened this episode. At least to a point. So it was just fun to have guessed something right for once. So we'll see what else happens. So yeah, it was really nice seeing Quicksilver in this, and with that actor, like I said, I loved his portrayal in X-Men. It's one of the few things in the movie season that I enjoy. So seeing him back was interesting, and it's really interesting because it's juxtaposed with he is the Quicksilver from Age of Ultron that we've met. He's just wearing that face. Because there's some straight up conversations about it. They flat out address Wanda's accent in both of their accents, actually, in the show to each other. So there's some really great moments with them. I really like that. I wish we could have dug in a little bit more with that. And yeah, we're definitely, I think we're going to see Wanda get her name of the Scarlet Witch if not by the time the show ends, fairly soon. Definitely by the end of the series, I would imagine. And it's really interesting, because he confronts her, like, he's aware of what's going on in the town and that she's controlling things, and like Vision, he asks her, you know, how she's doing it. But she's less upset by him questioning her, and to a point. I mean, he pushes her to a point, and then she goes full Wanda on him. But it was just interesting to get more of that, and you get to see more of Vision questioning what's going on and trying to find answers. They've thrown a little bit of a wrench in with Agnes this week, which makes me wonder if she is who we've been suspecting her to be, or if her level of involvement is less than we thought, or because Vision finds her on the edge of town. I don't know if she was trying to get away, but she's basically at the boundary of where they're allowed to go, and she's kind of stuck in like this blank loop of, you know, playing the tropey character. And Vision wakes her up, and there's this whole thing, and then he puts her back to under the control like he did with Norm last week, and off she goes. So I don't know if because something that happens with her pushes Vision a little further harder on his quest, and yeah, it's interesting. I'll come back to that, but it makes me wonder if Agnes is just playing the part of playing a part, or if she is who we think she is and she just happened to be here when this happened. I don't know. We'll see. I think she's playing along, or is at least somewhat submitting to the control, but is still has ulterior motives and other plans of her own. But that's just me. So yeah, the whole episode, it's the Halloween episode, it's the 90s, and it's great. We get to see Billy and Tommy start coming into their powers. We see all the characters in, kind of homemade versions of their original comic book costumes. And it's a lot of fun. They address the issue with the kids, how there were no kids in town. It's just, and it's spooky. Like, it's a spooky episode. And it all builds to the big climactic events of the episode. Oh, we'll come back to that. Some stuff with Darcy and Monica and Jimmy Woo. They confront Hayward and are basically told to leave. And they decide, or are getting escorted out, but they fight back and they hack into some stuff to try to find out more information. Of course, Hayward is withholding information from them. And we find out a little more interesting stuff about Monica's blood work, because Darcy finds the information in the computer when she's trying to hack into Hayward's info. So I don't know if he intentionally was blocking the results from coming in the last episode when we saw her getting her test results and they were coming blank, or if they came in afterwards. I'm not sure. They didn't really get into that. So Monica has been altered by going through the barrier twice. She physically went in on her own and then getting ejected out, and something's happening to her DNA and her cells and everything. So I think we're going to see this is how she becomes Photon, or whichever codename she chooses to use. So I believe, she's getting her powers and maybe being exposed to Carol all those years ago, or other things that have happened that we don't know. But I think we might see her debut as her superhero self by the end of this series. And then she and Jimmy go off to meet her friend who's building this tank or mobile thing to go back through the force field again. And Darcy tells her she can't go because of the cells. She's, in trouble. And Monica's like, I have to go. I'm not leaving her in there by herself. I'm going to help her, whatever happens to me. I've been watching this sort of thing for years, referencing her mother and her cancer. So, there's really great drama going on between these characters, and it's not just goofy sidekick stuff. So, all that to say, it gets to the end. I don't remember what Quicksilver says. It kind of pushes Wanda over the edge, because she's learned from Billy, who is now, or Tommy, I don't remember which one's which. He's getting his powers, kind of her magic hex powers, and he can hear Vision in pain and scared, because Vision has walked through the border. He's walked out of the hex, and he's kind of disintegrating. Bits of him are getting yanked off his body and pulled back into the hex. And of course, Hayward and the soldiers are all there. So the kid sees this and tells Wanda, and she goes off. She freezes everything in town, and she starts to expand the hex bigger, to where it starts swallowing up more and more stuff. It goes past streetlights, and it turns it into a used car dealership, and then it starts hitting the soldiers and the sword camp, and it starts turning it into a circus, and all the soldiers and agents of sword are turning into clowns and circus performers. And it's expanding and it's expanding. Monica and Jimmy are gunning it in the stolen truck that they took to try to get to her contact. And poor Darcy got handcuffed to a van or a truck when they went to confront Vision. She ran out to try to help him, and she gets handcuffed. And so she was the first one to get hit with the hex, but we did not see what happened to her. So all the other sword agents turned into clown and circus performers. Darcy is left handcuffed to the front of this truck. So I'm really nervous to see what happens to her, because if all the things were turning into circus machines, circus tents, circus trucks, what's she gonna be? because I've always liked Darcy since the first Thor movie, and I really liked how she's come into her own as her own doctor, and she's been great in this series. So I'm nervous to see what happens to her next week, if we get that reveal next week. So yeah, big cliffhanger. Great episode. Enough again, stellar performances from everybody, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next. And that's it. I'll see you guys next time.